Episode 6, October Moments. The early morning light filtered through the trees, casting long shadows across the forest floor as the golden hues of fall swirled in the crisp air. Ella stood by the window, her hands wrapped around a warm mug of coffee, watching as the sunlight began to creep over the horizon. The world outside was painted in shades of amber and russet, with leaves fluttering down like confetti in the gentle breeze. She smiled to herself, feeling the quiet contentment that always came with mornings like this. In moments like these, Ella found herself marveling at the simple beauty of her life. There was no rush, no urgency, just the soft rhythm of her days unfolding slowly, like the leaves falling from the trees. She took a sip of her coffee, savoring the warmth that spread through her chest, and made a mental note to bake something later. Maybe cinnamon rolls or pumpkin loaf, something that would fill the cottage with the sweet, spicy scent of autumn. Mabel, as usual, had found the perfect sunlit spot on the window seat, her fur glinting in the early morning light as she dozed, her soft purring barely audible. Rufus, ever the early riser, lay at Ella's feet, his head resting on his paws, his eyes watching her with a quiet kind of devotion. Ella set her mug down and stretched, letting the sunlight spill over her skin. October was her favorite month, the one where she could fully embrace the little things that made life feel rich and full. She had learned to romanticize her life, to find joy in the smallest of moments, and today, she decided, would be another day spent cherishing those quiet moments. The air outside was crisp but not cold, and after pulling on her thickest sweater and her favorite pair of woolen socks, Ella slipped into her boots and grabbed her basket from the corner. She was heading to the market today, an outdoor market set up just outside of town, where local farmers sold fresh apples, pumpkins, and homemade preserves. It was a simple outing, but one she looked forward to every year. Rufus, ever the eager for walk, bounded toward the door, his tail wagging furiously as Ella clipped on his leash. "Let's go," she said softly, and they stepped outside into the cool embrace of the autumn air. The sky above was a perfect shade of blue, with only a few wispy clouds floating lazily by, and the scent of a wood smoke lingered in the breeze, a reminder that the nights were growing longer and colder. The walk to the market was slow and peaceful, with the soft crunch of leaves underfoot and the distant sound of birds chirping in the trees. Ella felt as she were walking through her postcard. Everything about the day felt so perfectly autumnal. She smiled to herself, taking in the golden light filtering through the trees, the way the air seemed to sparkle with the promise of a perfect day. When they arrived at the market, Ella took her time wandering between the stalls, admiring the baskets of apples, the jars of honey, and the stacks of pumpkins arranged in neat rows. There was something about this place, with its rustic charm and friendly faces, that made her feel grounded, connected to the season and the simplicity of life. She filled her basket with crisp apples, a jar of cinnamon-infused honey, and a small pumpkin that would look perfect on the kitchen table. As she wandered, she stopped to chat with some of the farmers, their weathered hands offering samples of homemade jams and baked goods. Rufus, meanwhile, wagged his tail to anyone who passed by, occasionally receiving a friendly pat or small treat. With her basket full and her heart light, Ella made her way back to the cottage, the sun now higher in the sky, casting warm glow over the world. As they walked, she let her mind drift, imagining all the little things she would do once she was home. There would be baking, of course, something sweet to enjoy with her afternoon coffee, or maybe a walk through the woods later, once the sun began to set and the air grew cooler. By the time they reached the cottage, the scent of the pine trees had fallen, and fallen leaves had seeped into Ella's senses, filling her with a deep sense of contentment. She set the basket on the kitchen counter and lit a candle, the scent of vanilla and clove filling the room as the flame flickered softly. As she peeled the apples, she thought about how much she loved these quiet days, the ones where the world outside seemed to slow down just enough to let her savor every moment. She mixed the ingredients for a simple apple crisp, the scent of cinnamon and butter filling the kitchen as she placed the dish in the oven. While it baked, she tidied up, placing the small pumpkin in the center of the table and filling a vase with the dried wildflowers she had collected earlier in the week. When the apple crisp was ready, Ella poured herself a cup of coffee and settled into her favorite chair by the window. The warm dish steaming in front of her, the day had unfolded exactly as she had hoped. Simple, quiet, and full of the little joys she cherished the most. As she took her first bite, the sweet, tart flavor of the apples mixed with the buttery crumble, and Ella closed her eyes, savoring the moment. Outside, the sun was beginning to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows over the trees. The leaves continued to fall, one by one, drifting gently to the ground like confetti, celebrating the season. Rufus had curled up by the fire, his snores soft and rhythmic, while Mabel stretched luxuriously in her spot on the windowsill, watching the world outside with sleepy eyes. Ella smiled to herself, feeling as if she had captured a little piece of magic in this day. It wasn't grand or extraordinary. It was simple, quiet moments that made her heart full, the ones where life felt like it was unfolding exactly as it should. October, with all its golden light and cozy days, had always been her favorite, and today was a perfect reminder of why.